So Teresa has graciously agreed to walk around and hand out a microphone. Everybody who came in today, you got a paddle. I told you I was going to explain this, and now I'm going to. This is so you can tell me whether you like or dislike, for my colorblind folks, green, red. If you need a little help, ask a friend. What's being said. And this could be about me, about the question, or the comment, or what have you. Tom, do we have time to be out of here?
Not really.
I'm here as long as you guys.
Make it 4 hours, like that.
Yeah. I mean, I won't have as many people as he did, so maybe not. But I'm telling you, I'm here to answer questions. The rest of my evening, I want to answer questions. So if you have a question about me, or you have a statement about whatever's going on, I want to hear it. And Teresa's going to hand out the microphone. So please, by all means, just lift your hand and tell her that you want the mic, and I'll answer questions until you guys stop asking. All right, I'm throwing it to you. Is the mic on? Push it all the way up.
Okay, my name is Andre. My question is about the last point, environment. I wasn't clear one way or the other which way you were leaning. I have a personal concern, very deep concern about number 45, Trump threatening to pull out of the Paris Agreement. And it has a lot of ramifications, and even threatening the U.S. negotiating power in other areas beyond environment. How do you feel about that threat of this current administration to pull out of the Paris Agreement?
I disagree with it. I disagree with, let me be frank, to be clear, the administration's desire to pull out of the Paris Agreement. I feel like this is one area where we have worked for a long time trying to get countries to work together, to try and come together on these standards. And these standards are good, not great, but they're definitely a step forward. And the idea that he's going to come in and just bust up all this negotiation, what is it, 145 countries?
190 something.
190 something. It's a lot. Suddenly we're instead of being the leader that we should be, we're just going to come in and wreck it all. Despite the fact that we still contribute 25% of CO2 emissions and greenhouse gas emissions, because somehow we want to try to curb China and India, who are still just coming up to us in terms of economic development. So yeah, I disagree with it. I think that having that marginal increase in economic activity is not worth the cost to certainly my children in terms of the environment.
I'm just going to cut through the chase with everything. Every single time Trump has done something big, there's been legislation that has followed. If you read behind the lines with everything, Republicans force-feed nonstop legislation that is done on these midnight sessions and everything else. This is really what I'm looking for in someone who is not going to vote straight along party lines and everything else. What we need are a group of younger, like-minded politicians to come in and show the president that the power of the office of the president does not have the power that he thinks it is. And that, to be honest with you,
The power of the people really relies in Congress, and that the president is not able to bully his way through every single issue that happens. What we need is someone who's going to stand up to him and say, shenanigans, you are wrong. And nobody is doing it. I watch on TV every single day. So my question, because I like a lot of your viewpoints, I agree with a lot of what you have to say. My question is, are you willing to stand up if given the opportunity to go to Washington? Because many of us here, over the years, have seen a lot of people that their intention is good, and then they get to Washington and see what the beast is. But it takes courageous effort to do the right thing and stand up for the right thing regardless. And right now, when I see a lot of people go to Washington, I see a lot of people that go to Washington and they just kind of follow the wagon with what everyone else is doing. Are you willing to be a part of the group of people that are going to go to Washington and do that?
I am willing to go to Washington and fight for the change we need. I am certainly willing to be more of a fighter than our current representative, who in a tweet, when the AHCA lost all the support and they had to pull the bill the first time, he tweeted, talking about the Freedom Caucus, they have betrayed the president and the American people with their vote. Now, mind you, I don't agree with Freedom Caucus. Obviously, I'm on the other side of them. But they stood for principle, and they stood up, and they stood for a principle, not a principle I agree with, but certainly a principle. And that tells me our representative, I don't know what he stands for, other than the president being the number one priority, given that was the number one priority in his tweet. And you go look it up, because I have it on my page. That is exactly the order in which he put that tweet: the president and the American people. So that tells me two things. One, the American people aren't his priority. And two, he's just a rubber stamp for the president. Now, like I said, let me say I will fight for the things I believe in. That is in my nature. Some people tell me I may fight a little too much, to be honest with you. But there may be some time when the president slips up and does the right thing. He might. So in that time, am I going to treat him the way the other side treated my president when it was his time, when he did things that they agreed with once, but then once he was doing it, they disagreed, such as the Affordable Care Act used to be a Republican plan until a Democrat got a hold of it, and then it was socialized medicine. So I have to say, yes, I'm going to fight for what's right, but at the same time, I also have to stand up for making certain that if something comes along that's right, I support it as well. I don't know if that answers your question, but...
My biggest thing is just simply that we have people that say, no, Mr. President, this is not right. That's what it has to come down to. It has to be bold action taken by people like yourself that are courageous enough to do it.
All right, well, you got it.
You got my vote then.
Thanks. Grab a card on your way out if you haven't already liked my page.
My question's about the environment, and you talked about the, 76,000 jobs that were promised to the coal miners, and we could do 300,000 jobs for with solar energy, and that would be wonderful. That would be great for Georgia. But if you've ever been to West Virginia, there's not enough sunshine for solar power. And I know this isn't your district, but we do care about other people. And what plans would you have for people who would lose jobs because of environmental impacts?
One of the things that you have to look at with places like Appalachia, especially West Virginia, is that there are other ways in which, if they want to get on board with electricity, with power generation, that they actually have a lot of resources they can get into with wind, which is why expanding the energy grid and making certain that we have a 21st century grid that reaches all places so that power generation can come from different places than we've ever had it before. That's kind of part of the reason why we want to upgrade and expand the grid so that we can have more people contributing in more places in more ways. Honestly, coal mining is dying. It's on decline, and it's declining whether or not we sacrifice the environment for it. So at the end of the day, if we save 3,000 or 4,000 jobs to sacrifice our environment, for the moment, I'm just not certain that's a good trap. There's no math there for me. So I would be looking at trying to invest in our energy grid in order to make certain that and then expand into rural broadband access. Because I'm not just talking about expanding for my district. We're talking about infrastructure spending across the country, phased in a phased manner in which we can afford it. But it's an investment, and they'll get that investment as well. And so they'll be able to then take advantage of other economic activities that don't involve energy generation. So that's two ways to answer your question. I hope that answers it. Let's grab her and come here and grab Daniel.
I'm a nurse. I've been a nurse for 25 years. I really want to know why for the first time, we own this issue. People are really upset, and I want to know because I know you're talking about working with him. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think that's possible.
Probably not. I'm just an eternal optimist.
I just think he's out there. It's all about minimizing the damage. So for me, I just think he's out to destroy whatever had a Democrat and Obama's name on it. So I don't, right? And every time I hear Republicans say, we have health care, they can go to the emergency room, I want to throw a chair at the TV.
Right.
First off, that is emergency care. Go out to Madison Health and sit out there. We are a sickness-based health care system. So people are not treated till they're sick. That is expensive. And people don't come to the emergency room until they've treated themselves, they've called their mother, they've doctored themselves up. Now their diabetes is way out of control, the heart conditions, that's expensive. I'm not even talking about the morality of it. Forget the morality. It is expensive to treat people once they're ill. I want to see the Democrats take this issue. For the first time in years, this is our issue. And Obama's right. People like him more than they like Trump. Obamacare more than they like Trump.
Wow. Maybe you should run for office. Really, you've really got a handle on it. I would say, yeah,
There's only two ways to fix this.
I think you've really summed up the issue. And especially when you hit on emergency room care. I'm glad you brought it up. I'm glad I have a medical professional who can bring it up. One of the reasons why we've had skyrocketing health care costs is because, previously we had the law where emergency rooms had to see you, regardless of your ability to pay, and then the government will pick up the tab. The emergency room care, just like you said, it's expensive because they do everything. They gotta check everything. So they run all the tests. It's emergency care, so that it's the things to save lives and save limbs.
Expand their Medicaid.
Right,
So that's expensive.
right. Georgia did not expend their Medicaid. It's that thing, but that increased. That's one part of the reason we've had spiraling healthcare costs, because our care is not well care. It's like you said, sick care. We care for ourselves when we're sick, so we don't have as many well checkups. That was one of the things that the ACA was supposed to help, was to create the ability to do more well checks so that you could have better health care, so you wouldn't have to go to the emergency room, or you wouldn't have to go to the doctor to have more expensive sick care.
And one last thing, I'm glad they booed you those over there, because she didn't come there to listen, she came there to lecture. If she wanted to learn something, she could have made an arrangement with somebody in the program and say, I want to sit here and listen to you. No, she stood up there and lectured those people. How dare she?
I definitely understand that position, because trust me, she makes me want to boo too, for a lot of reasons. But yeah, that's a big issue. But the reason why I mentioned repairing the ACA is because it doesn't quite do.
Quit lying to people. We have two ways of fixing this. You either do single payer, everybody's taxes go up, or you make everybody get insurance, which means you have a huge penalty so that, young people don't wanna get insurance, why should they? They'd rather get a new, computer. I'm not knocking that, but that's the way I felt when I was young. But you have to either force everybody to get insurance, or you do single, but that's it. Quit lying, quit saying there's some cheap way, there isn't.
You're talking my language. Trust me. I want to do Medicare for all. I would rather go ahead and increase taxes some by going to Medicare for all, but that tax increase would be less than the premium that they're no longer having to pay. And that burden is shared
Prices will
across
go
the
down.
country.
Your price of your healthcare will go up in the short run. That's what even y'all saw with Obamacare until they started sabotaging it.
Yep.
You're right.
Yep. So there's nothing to keep insurance companies in check or big pharma.
Oh,
Because right now, they're running rampant with doing anything and everything they can because they're more concerned about profit margins than they are about insuring people like they're supposed to. That is the central problem.
And they take tax money to do their research.
And they have big lobbies.
That's exactly what it is. Nobody
Big
keeps it in
lobbies.
check.
By the way, guys, I want to point out something real quick, and then I'm going to throw it to Daniel for his question. Those paddles you're holding, my wife made those. She just stepped out. I wish you could get the cheers because she just stepped out for a moment. But my wife made those. I have a friend who's doing video recording. I have another friend who's helping with the microphone. This is the most, right now, the most bare bones campaign out there.
I try to be
right now.
Facebook Live, but there's no signal in here, so it's
Oh.
I tried twice, and all that.
Fail. Wrong. Sad. But I'm not influenced by lobbyists. There's no PACs funding me. I mean, I'm looking for campaign donations. It's part of the reason why I'm doing these. But I want to get money out of politics. I think that PAC money, I think lobbyists are a huge problem. Citizens United, yeah, worst thing to happen to our democracy. And but maybe somebody asked me, I'll touch on that
Hit on
later.
something that's extremely important that we have not talked about, none of the politicians are talking about. If you want the ACA to succeed, everybody must buy into it,
Yeah.
which means the young people. If you buy that car or that computer, particularly if you buy a car, you must have a driver's license. We don't mind requiring people to have a driver's license, requiring people to be part of the Social Security system. If you want the ACA to succeed, then what we have to do is be extremely honest up front. None of our politicians, Democrat or Republican, have been honest about that issue. And your taxes will go up some, obviously. But in countries that in Europe that look at the United States, when the ACA finally became the law of the land, and I was reading journals from England, from France, the first thing they said, well, America has finally come into the civilized world.
Well, not so
That was
fast.
their comment. So, if you
Hold my beer.
talk about any of this stuff, you must begin by being honest. We must all buy into it. That means the young people.
I agree completely. And honestly, tax policy is a dollars and cents thing, but it's also a moral thing, and it is a place where you put your priorities and say what your priorities are as a people. So if it really hurts your feelings to see your taxes go up a little, to make certain that your entire nation, the richest, most powerful nation in the history of the world, can make certain that its people have health care.
They're not paying taxes anyway. That is the truth. The top 1% can fund every single thing that we have and that we need.
And now the
top
age-
1% have 78% of the wealth in this nation.
And-
They don't pay taxes.
And now the AHCA is going to give them a huge tax break. Like I said, tax break. I call it a tax break in healthcare reform clothing. And I really believe that.
There's
And-
no country in the world that doesn't believe in healthcare or education.
Yeah.
I'm good.
Yep.
I'm good, Fred, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
You have a lot of very passionate advocates in the room.
Yeah, I know,
and I
right?
don't want to interrupt that sort of thing. First thing, Fred, I want to applaud you for getting up there and having the guts to stand up and just even talk in front of a bunch of people. I think that by itself. Not a lot of people have that gusto, so I applaud you for that. You also obviously have some passionate supporters in the room, so I'm going to do the unpopular thing of playing devil's advocate. I
want
agree
it.
with you.
No,
to be
no,
clear.
I want it. Come
Yeah.
on. That's why
So-
I seem to have a lot of people from one side, and I appreciate kind of the friendly questions. I do wish I had a few people who had some unpopular opinions, because really, I want to hear it all, so we can have an open and honest discussion about this stuff. So sure, yeah.
I'm actually going to switch up my question at the last minute here. So a lot of the issues I've seen lately have been animus about we have the most partisan divided nation in the history of the United States, possibly since the Great Depression. And a lot of people demonizing either the left or the right just because of their views. But I'm going to tell you right now, I could call up Austin Scott's field rep and have a beer with him and have no problem. I know him personally. He's actually a pretty nice guy. I think there's an issue with identifying these people as people. So I know that there's an issue with reaching across the aisle and working together on a lot of things, because sometimes you just don't see eye to eye ideologically. But in the halls of Congress, what is your tactic for actually remedying that issue?
I'm really glad you said that, because I think that is important to mention. I view a Republican that I'm against in a race as an opponent, not an enemy. I never will. And I've met the person who works in his field office as well. He is a nice guy. Been down to his office, treated us very nicely. With regard to how do you get anything done if you have divided government, which if I'm hoping we can create some divided government. Right now we have, single party government, and they're not getting a whole lot done right now. How do you get anything done in the divided government? Or how do you get anything done with reaching across the aisle without getting your hand slapped? For me, it's the same way that you do in everyday life. We all have places in which we can find commonality somewhere, some way. There is something that we can agree on. Start from that point of agreement and spread, and then move out and negotiate from that point. Even if I ardently disagree with another person's philosophy, if I will probably be able to find some way to get along with some of my fiscal conservative friends or some of my libertarian friends, because we'll find a point where we agree. And on that point, or maybe there'll be a bill that they have that I can support for this moment, and we'll be these momentary allies. Let's hold hands on this one thing and get it done, because we
They'll hold
agree.
hands with you, but they won't want a picture taken with you.
I don't care. I can get all the pictures of myself I want. I'll deal in the back room with them on that one thing, and then later on we'll disagree about something else, and I'll find another ally.